Hello, my friends, beautiful souls. All of us doing our very, very best to make that shift from the old to the new. And boy, it's not easy. I agree. We all have these really, really dense and sticky places inside of us that just don't seem to want to budge. I certainly do. And it's very easy to want to just throw in the towel, but the problem is like, where are you going to throw the towel, right? There is no, there's nowhere to go. The only place to go is to keep going within and keep doing whatever we can to shed this old skin. And you know how, when a snake comes out of its skin, there's a lot of sticky places. And that seems to be what we're going through as we are leaving the old skin of the false matrix behind. And I've been talking quite a bit about that shift from the false matrix to the new paradigm, or um, the old paradigm to the heart. We're literally moving from an old timeline into a new timeline, which is already here. And it's just that it's so darn sticky that it can feel like crazy glue, right? So I want to just share a little bit about how I deal with those parts that are extremely sticky and keep coming back and keep coming back. And it's like, oh my God, can we be done, please? But you can see even in saying that, oh my God, right? There is a contraction, right? You kind of pull it in. It's like you're holding on to it energetically. And what is already in that thing that you're energetically holding on to while you really want to let it go is that there is already a contraction in there of something from the past, whether it's this or other lifetimes, I don't know. But if we have these contractions in us, whether it's, the brain, the jaws, the neck, the heart, the belly, the hips, the hands, the feet, it's in there, and we all have it. Most of us do. I celebrate those who are totally free from those contractions. So, what I've shared before is that, first of all, we want to know that we want to make a shift here, right? We don't want to keep living in that contraction because it doesn't feel good. And we know this is not the ultimate divine expression, to live like that. So, as much as we want to do it right, there is for most of us a tendency to still contract. And as long as we hold that contraction around an older contraction, well, you already know, right? It's all contraction. How is it going to get out? So, the contraction that we hold around whatever it is that keeps coming back and regurgitating. Let's start with choosing to do it a different way. There has to be a part that needs to realize that this or I don't want that, or it's not going to work. And I'm doing this a little bit on purpose so you can see there's contraction, contraction, contraction. Contraction does not liberate another contraction. It tightens it even more. And on top of that, it adds a lot of frustration and a sense that you just want to throw in the towel and give up. I totally get it. Been there, done that, realized it didn't work. So this is what we do by default, right? Because there's still this, what we're holding on to is still very unconscious, whether it's an emotion, a physical trauma, anything in between. So let's first, it has to come from here. We have to move from no resistance to yes. liberating. You feel the difference? I want to get rid of this, or I want to set this free. I want you to be free. So we need to kind of get a shift inside of our relationship to whatever it is we're holding on to. And what most of us will realize that when we let go of that resistance to whatever it is that we're holding on to, when that starts softening, then you will start getting in touch with something that is probably uncomfortable, because that's why we have been holding it for so long, because there is pain in there, or fear, or terror, or grief, or who knows what. Memories, past life memories, a lot of things are still stored in our tissue. You know how they say the issue is in the tissue. And as long as the issue is in the tissue and the tissue is contracted, it's going to stay there. That's why adding another layer of contraction because you don't want it, that's just going to maintain it and keep it there. So we start with a willingness to say, I want to set this free. I want to liberate this part in me that I have unconsciously been contracting around and resisting for most of my life. So that's a very big, important step. And I want you to just feel that first and say, yeah, I want that. So that's also saying I talked about yesterday's, like I think it was yesterday, putting down a stake and say, no, I don't want that anymore. It's very clear. It's an energy where you stop some kind of behavior inside of yourself, which is resisting something. So that's a good thing too, because you shift your energy from resisting it to say, I don't want to do that anymore. And now you have liberated some part of your energy where you can willingly, with a sense of yes or openness, say, okay, let's do this differently. Let me at least stop resisting what is in here that is not healed or integrated yet. So you just do your best to, let's say, because it's a pattern and a habit anyway, right? You go and resist this thing. So every time you find yourself resisting, you just take a breath and say, thank you, but I really want to open up to it. You see, so you send a new ripple of intention into your field. You say, I want to open up. Ripple, 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 ripple. And you start bringing in that kind of an energy. So you get some kind of support from the field where it will be easier for you to just not resist what is already being resisted or held tight inside the body. So you see, it's an important step. We need to get that resistor kind of to soften a little bit first. Okay. So now as this part starts softening, now you can start allowing this one to soften. And there's a reason we have not softened it, because it's probably going to be uncomfortable in whatever way. But the discomfort is only as long as we resist it. But if that resistance pattern is so ingrained, it's not just going to let go. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some love, some willingness, some ability to soften what's held in there, whatever pain that is, whatever memory, whatever trauma. And I want to also say, if there is some deeper trauma that you might be aware of or suspect, please get support. It's not healthy to unravel deep trauma in yourself without support. because there might be a tendency to re-traumatize yourself. This is something I remember from my trauma training many years ago, that it has to be done with somebody who can actually hold the space so you're not re-traumatizing yourself. So if you know there's something, do not do it alone. I do not recommend it. Find somebody who can really support you in that. So that instead of it, it might start opening, and then if you don't have the right support or have any support, or you feel alone, and there was a part in here that traumatized because it felt alone, and then here you are opening and you're still alone, you can't um, re-educate or help that part have a new experience so it feels safe to open up. Just a little side note, but it could be a very important one. But as this start opening, so let's say you are able to do it on your own, or you have the right support, now this part starts opening up. And it might open up a little bit and then close again. So now it's just, instead of having this part of you resisting it, this now becomes a support that's gonna hold this with love, with tenderness, with patience, lots of patience. So now this energy changed from this to this, holding it. And now you will be more and more able to just, okay, I'm going to breathe into this discomfort, and it can just open up or soften a little bit, so you can just notice, okay, that feels okay. Oh, there's sadness, right? But then this hand here, this energy allows the sadness because it feels safe to let the sadness or the fear or whatever it is, just to soften and soften and soften. And this is necessary to let go of the false matrix or the old paradigm, the old timeline, because this and this is old timeline behavior. So first, by changing this old timeline behavior to this, now we're already in a new timeline. You're kind of in between. And now the new energy that you're able to connect with inside and outside is going to help this also open up. And then you slip right into your heart, into the new paradigm, into the new timeline, because you're not holding the contractions from the old. So it's really about letting go of what we are holding on to for dear life many times. And if that's why I say, if it is like for dear life, do get help. Do not do it on your own. I do not recommend it unless you've done so much work that you know how to do it. So then when this starts softening, it can feel very scary because it's been held like this, can feel challenging, and you start feeling things like, ooh, discomfort. That's why you've been doing this, right? And then this has been doing this to make sure you wouldn't feel it again. So there's so many layers. And once this starts opening, you can be sure there are tons of layers that's been holding on in its own way to protect you. So doing it very, very lovingly, gentle, kindly, super important. It's not going to work if you're trying to knock it out, bang, get out of here. It doesn't work. It's just more of the same that caused this one to contract. So we want to stop that old paradigm behavior, that false matrix behavior that is about, division and duality and pain and suffering and contracting and all that. That's the energy we need to learn to soften and let go of that behavior so that this part inside can be liberated. It's like that frozen drop. So that can be softened and come right back into the ocean. of love. So here we have another part of the moving from the old timeline to the new. I'm trying to do this, but it's really in here. It's here. And just all these little steps that I'm sharing with you, they're not small, they're not little, they're huge. They're huge. And I don't know if it's possible to do it without that. Maybe it is. Let me know in the comments if you have a better way. I'd love to hear about it. I'm all for ease, but somehow there's parts in me, parts of my body that has just been taking a long time. And then suddenly you'll notice when this starts disappearing, then you'll start noticing, wow, how tender and how innocent and how scared that part that we've been holding prisoner, right? Then you can start really being with it in a very, very loving way. And one of the things I think is so beautiful that we can tell this part is like, yes, yes, honey, I want you to be free. I don't want you to live in this prison of contraction anymore. Feel the difference? Instead of trying to fix something or get rid of it, it's a whole different energy you access. It's the old energy or the new. You can't bring in the old into the new. You can't bring a contraction into something that opens up. It doesn't, they're two different things. So, my friends, please like, subscribe, share. If this resonates with you, comment below. Let me know if you have if you can recognize, the contraction and then the resistance to it. It's in all of us. And I actually had a whole chapter on that, I think, in my book, Imagine Being Kind to Yourself, which there is a link in the description. So let me know how it all lands and keep up the good work. Reach out if you need it. If you want to work with me around this, just set up a self-discovery session with me and we'll connect and we'll see if we would be a good match to do some of this work together. Okay, friends, until we meet again.